shall we? Joined now by Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA insider, and a guy who perhaps has observed LeBron James in a play or two in his career. What's up, Windy?
Good morning, guys.
Windy, who's the best candidate for the Lakers job?
I don't know if I have a clean answer for that, Max. I don't know if the Lakers do either. They made a decision that is always a complicated one in the NBA. When you fire a coach who's been successful, I would say that it's a very good idea to know who you're going to hire when you do that. And, we've seen that through the course of time where teams feel like they need to upgrade and there's a move that they want to make and they make. I mean, a classic one is Steve Kerr. Mark Jackson was successful. They fired him. They knew who they wanted. They got him. They had to win a bidding war with the Knicks to get him, and the rest is history. I mean, that's your grade A example right there. So they fired a coach, and they didn't know who they were going to hire. And so they've gone through this process. I will say this, though. When they hired Frank Vogel, if you remember who their finalists were, it was Monty Williams, Frank Vogel, and Jason Kidd. It's very similar to the finalists that they have right now, at least the ones that we know about, with guys like Kenny Atkinson and Terry Stotts, coaches who have, Darvin Ham is in there too, and he's definitely got a strong chance, but coaches who have coached elsewhere, who are respected to a degree, and who they're not going to have to pay $10 million a year. And they believe, I've been told this, the Lakers believe that, they thought that their process last time around did pretty well. They first decided on Monty Williams. He turned him down. He's proven to be an excellent choice for Phoenix. They hired a guy who helped them to win a title. And the guy that finished second that they hired as their lead assistant, Jason Kidd, is having a great job in Dallas. So they thought that their process last time worked. So they're working their process this time, and they think it's going to work. We'll see.
Windy, if the goal is to win a world championship yesterday, does it behoove the Lakers to have a guy like Darvin Ham who doesn't have the head coaching experience, even though we've seen Ime Udoka in his first year with the Boston Celtics lead them to an Eastern Conference Finals? Or are they looking for somebody with more head coaching experience that has been to the playoffs? You talk about a guy like Terry Stotts or obviously a guy like Kenny Atkinson who's here with the Brooklyn Nets for a while.
I mean, this is exactly what they're asking themselves, Jay. I mean, look, let's say you were contacted about this job and they said to you, hey, come in here and interview for us. It's not an easy job at all. It's a really hard job. I mean, it's the Los Angeles Lakers. So you're going to go and you're going to interview and you're going to want it. But you're holding a really difficult hand. And not only that, but the Lakers realize, and I don't think they realize it because they think that there's some sort of miracle out there, but they're looking at having to keep Russell Westbrook because there's not a trade out there for them to do that they can stomach, at least not right now. And so, after you go through the pleasantries, you got to now present your plan of how you're going to make this work with Russell Westbrook. And if you prepared for that coaching interview, you watched Russell Westbrook's exit interview after the last day of the season, where he torched everything that happened, and he torched the concept of him bending at all. It is a bad hand. And then you look at the competitiveness of the West, and you look at the challenges. Your expectation is that you're going to pull some sort of lever and instantaneously make them a contender, when there's probably not going to be a massive change in their roster. That there's this belief that changing just the approach or changing, some sort of, motivation level is going to get this mixed. It was an utter failure this year to work. I mean, I do believe that in the NBA that coaching is hiring the right coach is vital, and hitting that is a difference between a lot of times being a contender and being on the outside. But it's not a good job. It's not a good job at all. And I wish I could sit here and tell you that they should do this, or this, or that their thought process is very clean, because it is not.
Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA insider, joining us this morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Note for you, Brian, J. Will said he would not interview for the job earlier on the show, so we don't have to worry about that. Speaking of worrying,
would you interview for it?
Absolutely, and I'd take it yesterday.
Right, and a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. Speaking of interviewing, taking things, and trying to figure things out, the Boston Celtics played the Miami Heat. The Heat beat them the other night without Jimmy Butler in the second half. What's the update on Jimmy Butler's knee injury?
I think he's probably going to try to play. He went through some treatment yesterday, and the hope is that he's going to recover from that. He had this happen to him in the first round. He missed a game with this, I believe it's an IT band, whatever that means. Sounds painful. He's just got some inflammation in there, and the treatment that calmed it down last time, they did it again, and they're hoping going to calm it down this time. But to me, the biggest question for this game is Marcus Smart to me, because that injury, we all saw how he landed on his foot, and adrenaline must have kicked in. There's no way that injury happened and you're just A-okay. You walk it off. Maybe LeBron James. I've seen that happened to LeBron and him walk it off. But even that kind of landing on LeBron probably would cost him a game. Mm-hmm. And that is his right leg that he has had problems on throughout the entire playoffs. He had a quad injury in there several times. That's the same foot that he had the foot sprain where he came back for game 2. It probably wasn't 100% healed, and now he's got an ankle all on that right side.
That's surprising.
I would not surprise me at all if Jimmy Butler plays in this game. I think that's what they're hoping. It would kind of surprise me if Marcus Smart can play. It would be pretty impressive.
Hey, Wendy, real quick, because we only got about 20 seconds. Do you see Tyler Hero losing some money here? He has not showed up in these playoffs at all.
Yeah, well, he was going to be a difficult how much you're going to pay situation anyway, because he only really plays one side of the court. But his value to the Heat is to deliver them baskets when they're under pressure in the half court. That is their biggest weakness as a team. That is his biggest value to them. And at the highest stakes here, he hadn't been able to do it. And he gets hunted on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And they benched him down the stretch of the game the other day. Now he might have a quad injury. They're not really being 100% clear, but that's not what you want to take to your meeting when you're asking for your money, especially when the Heat have a whole bunch of money on the table. It wouldn't stun me if the Heat investigate a trade market for Tyler Hero. That's obviously something that'll be discussed in the summer.
That is Brian Windhorst, ladies and gentlemen. Wendy, always great talking to you.
Thanks, Wendy.
Have a great week, guys.
Right,
you too. The Yankees-White Sox series was more heated than usual this weekend, and there's a very good reason for that. We're going to talk about why next. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Yes, after Key has this from NetSuite. Schools